Hello, and welcome to this deep dive session about the Itential Automation Platform 2021.1. Today I'm going to talk about the new features and improvements in Automation Studio. A big new thing that we've introduced in Automation Studio is that we can put transformations on transitions. You might know transformations from our previous releases, or they're also called JSTs, that allow you to build the mapping from one API call to the next API call, so that you can seamlessly take the output of one or many calls and use those, transform those to make them work with the input of the next call. While in the past we had our own tasks for that, which significantly cluttered the canvas, even this Gen 2 canvas that we see on the right hand side here, what we're doing going forward is allowing you to put those JSTs actually directly on transitions. For you, that has several advantages. First of all, we're finally at a point where we have the data logic of the workflow completely separate from the business logic, which is a huge benefit, so that you can just see what's going on in your workflow as you're looking at it from a high level. You see the business logic tasks, you see what your workflow actually does, and we'll leave the details of how the data is mapped to people that know more about it, and to the transitions itself. I'm going to go through a quick introduction of all of the features in Automation Studio, and then we're going to walk through a demo of all of them as well. Another new thing that we're doing finally is grouping of workflows. So assets in Automation Studio, like workflows and templates, they can be grouped now. You can create new workflow groups. We're going to go through that in a second. And of course, this will help you massively in terms of organizing your workflows, especially if you have many of them, to make sure you find what you're looking for quickly and you have your use cases organized. We do also provide now automation assets as tasks, and I'm going to go over that in a second as well. Basically, what that means is all your forms, workflows, transformations, templates, they will all be available to you on the right-hand side for you to directly select as a task on the canvas, which is a lot more error-prone and a lot easier for you to do than having to find a generic, like a task like show form, for example, and then typing in the form name that you want to display. And last but not least, we have the live preview of transformations. One of my favorite features. I use it all the time since it has been released internally. It basically allows you to get a live result, a live view of what's happening with your JST while you're building it, so that you get a really quick turnaround, quick feedback on what's going on in your JST. Does it do the thing that you want it to do? And what happens if you make a change, if you add a task, stuff like that. With that, let's jump straight into the demos. So I have a Gen 2 canvas here that basically where so far I just show a form to push some config to. So I have a form that shows a user the device to select and a configuration to put onto the device. And I actually have an Ansible module here to push the layer 2 policy onto this interface. So the config that I provide here is will go straight into the Ansible module, and from there it will be pushed to the device. One of the cool things that we can do with transitions, with JSTs on transitions now, is we can actually add them here. So we can basically say here, edit JST, and I basically get the output of my form, which I configure a device in the configuration here, and the input of my next task, which is the Ansible task. So I can basically all I need to do is I say, okay, my device is here, the host that I execute this Ansible module on, and my configuration is actually the layer 2 policy. And that's literally it. That's all I need to do. I don't need to go into the task. I don't need to mess with the variables here. That's automatically taken care of for me. We see the layer 2 policy is referenced by the JSON form. We see the host is referenced here as host from the JSON form. So everything is already set up for me. All I needed to do is drag and drop those two fields, and I'm good to go. Which is a massive improvement. If you think of the Gen 1 canvas times, for example, where you had to query out the data of that JSON form, then mush it back together so that it works to be used in the Ansible modules here. A lot of clicks have been used, and here just 2 drag and drops and we're ready. Another thing that I wanted to go over is the workflow grouping. And again, what you can do here is we see the workflows, and I mean, I'm sure you have that as well, that you have something like the DNS management here that has a lot of sub-workflow that it's called, and that you want to make sure they are grouped together and don't clutter up your view. What you can do here is you can literally just create a new workflow group, and let's call that DNS management. And now you can just filter all workflows that should be a part of it. And in this case, yeah, these are all my DNS management workflows. I select them all, click create, and what you see now, my view has been changed. I have a folder here now, DNS management, and all DNS management workflows are in here now rather than cluttering up my main view. So a massive improvement from what we previously had. In terms of showing automation assets as tasks, there's a really cool feature that we've added. If I insert a new node here and I click on it, you notice I don't see this grid anymore of all tasks that are available to me. We actually have search first, recently used task next, and if you don't know what to search for, you can still explore all options to get a list of all tasks that are available to you. So let's walk through each of those. The recently used views, that's pretty straightforward. I can just click on those and that becomes my tasks. Super useful. It's user-based, browser session-based. So if you log in from different devices, you carry your list with you of recently used tasks. What I want to do though is, for example, in this use case, we push some configuration on the Ansible modules. Let's say we want to do a compliance check after this push has been done. So we're gonna search for compliance. And what we're gonna see here is I don't only see tasks as previously, like from our configuration manager here, I actually see workflows, JSON forms, and even transformations as well. And so for example, if I say, oh, I already have a sub-work or a workflow that I can use as a child job that runs compliance for me, all I need to do is I click this run GC compliance workflow, and it automatically created a child job task for me where it selected the correct workflow for me. So again, there's nothing I need to do. I can straight go ahead and do that. And then again, I could literally add a JST here, and it would show me the standard output from the Ansible module, and it would link me to all variables that are necessary to call this child job automation. So again, I don't even have to go into the task details and select the variables. Everything can be done here, and I can just say, oh, the standard out, I want to put that into my variable section, for example. Of course, we need the type to match, and that would be possible. If we have a scenario like here where the type does not match, here we have object to string, for example, we can literally still use all of the functions that we have available. And if we use like stringify, for example, the JSON method, that's the method where I can literally just provide an object, and it gives me the string the string representation for it. So now I can correctly pass it into variables if I choose to do so. And again, that happens in the background. And now if I look at the child variables for my workflow, I see that the workflow has been selected, as well as the incoming variable. And then to the last section is the JST designer, the live preview, and that's a really cool option that you see here on the left hand side. It basically what it does is once you provide input configuration, which if you've used a JSON object to infer your schema, you already have example input available, so that should be super easy for you. When you have provided that, we basically give you the current live output of what is happening with your output. So here, for example, we have this message that says the device count is 1. That will be piped out directly as message device count is 1. If I change that, for example, let's say we make that an uppercase message, we see there's a missing input currently, a required parameter that is not there. So that's why we don't see any live results, because the JST is not valid currently, which is also massively helpful to know. And now I can, instead of going from the message here straight to the message there, I can go to my uppercase task and then pipe that to message. And what we see now is we have device count is 1 capitalized because we ran it through the uppercase method. So whenever you build a JST, even with mapping functions or with child functions in between here, you can go into each one, you can run through example scenarios so that you know exactly that your JST is right before you even add it to Automation Studio.